Welcome to the Westside Podcast. Each week, we'll take a relevant topic under the microscope to see what the Bible has to say about it. You will gain tools and information you need to support your faith walk and build Christ-centered families in Kansas City and beyond. I'm your host, Troy Kennedy. Well, hey, everybody. Welcome to another bonus edition of the Westside Podcast.
I love it, man.
Mini episode edition here.
Yeah.
We're doing a few little extra episodes without Brother Randy Frazee, but with some other special guests here. Just kind of while we're in a season as a church, exploring what God is doing for us, what is the scope of His will for us as a church body, and we're really asking everybody to engage in a time of prayer and fasting for about anywhere from 21 to 40 days at the beginning of the year. And so we just thought it would be fun to bring some people in, and I have a very special guest here with us today, a guy that I've known for a long time and who I love dearly. And any of you guys know what the Enneagram is? My friend here, Pete, is an Enneagram 9, and for some reason, I really like 9s a lot.
I love it, man.
You're like the epitome of the 9 right here. Guys, this is Pete Kirwan. He's my good buddy. He's a fellow minister at another local church, and man, he's had quite a journey. Him and his beautiful wife, Lissa, who is on staff here at Westside as our communication director. And so, Pete, I was just thinking about this. I remember seeing you come in with our friend Caleb, sitting out here in the chairs here at Westside when you were just still kind of exploring faith, and kind of give us just a little like thumbnail of what Jesus was doing in your heart back then.
Oh gosh, yeah. So I put it like this, like Psalm 18, like I called out to the Lord and He reached down from on high and pulled my life from the pit.
Yeah.
My life is Psalm 18, and Caleb and I got a chance to really encounter the presence of the Lord here at Westside, man, during worship and during the teaching, and just I got leveled and didn't really know, couldn't really put my finger on what was going on. I just knew the way I was doing things before, there was no life there, and so I was brought to this place just in mercy, and I landed in that sanctuary.
Wow.
So long story short, I just got whacked in here spiritually.
Not in the organized crime sense.
Yeah, I died to self, I guess. So just really, God just really met me, and it was just this is beautiful. I kept coming in here, and I wasn't particularly a fan of Christian contemporary worship.
Right. And
here I am now. I'm a worship leader, but at the time I came in and it was just like, I don't know what it is about this place or about this the atmosphere here, but I was bawling. I just come in and I just get wrecked in the spirit, and so I gave my life to Jesus here. I got baptized here. I got connected to a small group here with Brian Phipps, and man, connected with you and Jason and the team, and man, there's just that was the beginning of something really beautiful.
Yeah.
And I'm looking back. It's been we talked
10
about it.
years,
10 years, man. Like since April, and the Lord is good, and I just like these have been the greatest 10 years of my life.
Wow.
And you personally have been like integral and been like absolutely influential in my life.
Well, it's been stunning to kind of watch what God has done in your heart, and going from kind of 0 to 70, you just kind of were discovering your relationship with Jesus, and then you meet this really wonderful girl who was kind of doing the same thing at the same time.
At the same time. So my brief time here as a member of Westside, Lissa was also coming here, and we didn't know each other.
Right.
New City Church is where I serve now, and we planted out of Westside in 2 other churches, and Lissa was part of that plant. So I met her. Actually, the first time I saw her, I think, was upstairs at Westside. We were having a pre-service.
Right.
It was awesome, man. I was like, at the time,
who's this cute girl walking around up here? Yeah.
So I tried to have my eyes I tried to just keep my keep focused on the Lord, keep focused on the Word, and nothing else. This beautiful girl is like taking pictures, and I looked over and I was like, hey, you can sit here if you want. She's like, no thanks, I'm okay. She doesn't remember that, but that's exactly how that went.
Yeah. Well, you wore her down.
Hey, I did.
You wore her down.
Persistence. I am stubborn and patient.
Don't give up. Yeah, that's the lesson for the day. Forget about this fasting thing. Hey, hang in there. You can do it.
Yes.
So Pete and Lissa, they both went on this just like ballistic fast track spiritually. And God was just doing all these amazing things. And it was so beautiful to get to watch, kind of as, another set of eyes to see not only did he draw you together, but he was drawing you to himself. And you became this worship leader and pastor of discipleship at your church. And Lissa has been on this extraordinary leadership track she's our communications director, but really someone who loves the Lord and really a wonderful leader and really mature. And so I've got to see you guys do this and have your two beautiful girls over the last several years. And my goodness, just such a dramatic, beautiful story. And I know that you guys have been growing together and been, you're both kind of all or nothing people, right?
Very much so.
If we're not going to do it all the way, we're not going to do it at all. And so as we're talking about, as we're talking about fasting and kind of like that as a component of your spiritual practices that help you grow in intimacy with God and seek Him. We know there's lots of kinds of fasting. There's lots of time periods. There's different kind of mechanisms for fasting that you can have. We like to think that there are like 3 Ds in terms of kinds of fasting. There's fasting out of desperation, fasting for direction, and fasting for some kind of decision, maybe a decision of repentance or some sort. And as you guys have kind of stepped into some of that, I'd like to talk about sort of your history of fasting. Yeah, man. Kind of from the early days, like what did God do in your heart? What did that accomplish in you? What kind of fast did you do?
Yeah, so I would say like this. So I've learned that in my life, I think the typical kind of fasting that I do is rhythmic in nature. So it's like I have a weekly rhythm of time periods of fasting. So on Fridays, I just, to prepare my heart and my mind going into the weekend, specifically on like that Sabbath day of rest, I like to prepare for that, and I don't eat going into that evening. And then when the sun goes down, man, then it's like it's cool because it's this festive vibe, like.
So on Saturday you stop, or Friday?
On Friday. So Friday at sundown is when I break fast.
And you eat it, and you break it.
Mm-hmm. Yeah, so just Friday. My typical rhythm is Friday. I don't eat Friday until
until dinner time. Yeah. And that's just part of preparing for the Sunday, for the weekend rhythm and all of that. Yeah, and so you feel like that is a focusing thing for you?
Yes. I would say like this too. Fasting, I found, it builds intimacy. Like it's just closeness, And so like the primary, the impetus behind anything that I do that's regarding fasting is to draw near. Yeah. So I find that if I'm taking something and setting it aside, specifically something that I need, it causes me to point to the one that gives it.
Yeah, why do you think it does that?
I think it takes the control out of my hands. I think it gives power to where it belongs. Right. And that way, when I love breaking fast, obviously, but like
lots of reasons for that.
It's great. But I mean, there's an element of, man, it becomes this. It's a celebration, and so I like looking forward to. I mean, in our faith, we're looking forward to, when we see the King, and there's this element of man, we're building up to this point, and there's difficulties now, and we're here to endure and suffer well, and as we do that, we're reaching this point when, man, it's going to be a party, and we look forward to that with great expectation.
Yeah. So it's kind of it's almost a foreshadowing, as well as an intimacy grower for you.
That's where my mind goes. That's where I'm taking. Yeah.
That's beautiful. So that's kind of a regular part of your rhythm. Have you had historically any other kinds of fasts, like where you were really like, was it a desperation fast or a decision or a direction, or what happened for you like in previous years?
Okay, so Lissa and I, and I think it's really healthy and really it's powerful to fast with people as well. So that rhythm that I'm talking about, that's a personal one. Right. But man, like some of our first experiences were right after we got married. We tried to do like a week of just water, Right. And that stopped at about 3 days because we weren't prepared, Right. But it was very, I mean, it's visceral.
And that's this most recent one you did.
No, this is the first
one. This is way back. Oh, way back. Okay.
Yeah. So we were living in KCK, living in Strawberry Hill. Right. And I remember we knew that it just meant like you read about fasting in the Word, and it's there are mighty things that happen after, like, as a result of that drawing close, and so we just wanted to see the Lord break loose in our lives. So we were taking different approaches, different spiritual disciplines, and that was the earliest one we did was kind of a, we fasted together, and it became this, like, I mean, it's tough, spiritually, mentally, and physically, it was tough.
Right. Just not eating, but nothing but water for 3 days.
Yeah.
Or it was supposed to be a week. But,
supposed to be a week.
So you broke down, okay?
Amen. Yeah.
But what do you think the net result of that was? What do you think God was doing in your hearts after that?
Man, I think it was just a step closer. I think that's our whole life, right? It's just every day we're just being brought closer. Paul said every day more and more the veil is being lifted. Right. Right. And so I think we have an agreement to make physically with that. Whether or not it's fasting, that's for each of us in the Spirit to figure out. But man, it was just like there was an awareness of increase of closeness. Yeah. And it looks different for me and Lissa both, but but I mean, like, thinking about it together, us both doing something together, that drew us together in intimacy as well. Yeah. So I mean, like, every time we move toward the Lord, He moves us closer to those that are around us as well. Yeah. It's beautiful.
What would you think the overlap between your spiritual hunger for God and the fasting thing and the physical hunger? Where do you think those things cross over, or do they?
I would say, yeah, man. Like, I mean, 100%. I personally believe the physical oftentimes reflects or manifests out of the spiritual. Right. And so, like, sometimes, I mean, I've learned to listen to my body, if that makes any sense, and like, I mean, not to go down that trail, but I would say hunger, we can look to the Word and find, I mean, we just find hunger in the Word. I mean, thirst as the deer pants, like, my soul longs for you. It's just this agreement.
It's not just metaphoric, right?
Absolutely. Yeah. Absolutely. Our bodies remind us of our spirit's truth.
Oh, that's good. That's really good. So that was an early kind of fast, where you guys kind of went full on, as you would do.
Yeah, right.
There's no halfway for the Kirwans.
Yeah.
Do you have any other experiences kind of back then that you recall?
Yeah. So I mean, like, I mean, I've done. We've both, Lisa and I have both done a lot of different, like fasting from recreational activities, that kind of stuff.
Like TV or something.
Sure. Yeah. Sure. And that's that's impactful. But what I've learned, this is just, we've tried different approaches to fasting, but I've learned that it's when it's specifically something that we need. Right. Like, that's what I've come to now. Is like when I fast, I want to fast from something that I need. Not that I just want. Like not during the season, but I mean, like, another rhythm has been just blatant sugar. Like and that's good for our bodies as well. But my thought is, if it's any intentional act, it's going to point to the Lord, and so I just want all my thoughts to be reshifted, it's realignment, and I don't know if that makes any sense.
Yeah, yeah. So it's when you take that thing out that you have some degree of dependency on, whether ultimate dependency like food or water, or maybe a smaller dependency, which could be maybe sugar or the rhythm of your entertainment or something like that. They're varying levels of dependency, but what I'm hearing you say is it's that when you withdraw that thing, that dependency draws you towards Him. Is that fair?
Absolutely, yes. Yes.
Okay.
Yeah, right. And I would add to that too. And if Lissa were, we got a sicko at home, today. Right. But if she were here, she would talk about the mental and physical benefits of fasting. That she's really, it's been cool to see that just kind of light up in her. Right. Just our brain activity. Like when you get past a certain barrier within fasting, so particularly in the last fast that we went through, that was pretty hard, but we noticed just this, our minds got sharper, our senses got sharper. So there's this, I don't know, it's mental as well as physical. I don't know if that could be called,
physical, spiritual, emotional, mental. It's got to be relational and to some degree, right? Because
absolutely.
you're probably reminded that you're cranky, and
yes,
you have to be more intentional about how you respond to people.
Man, communication gets heightened, like so our awareness of these realities that we oftentimes, like, we can blanket over these realities with the comforts around us, or even our needs.
Right.
We can go like so deep into a need.
Right.
We aren't aware anymore of these spiritual realities or these mental capacities. Like, I mean, communication, absolutely. That was very much highlighted during our fast, our recent fast. Yeah.
Yeah, and there's something too that, there's a saying that says, nobody grows in a hammock.
That's great.
Hammock's pretty great.
I was gonna say, I immediately bucked at that. I was like, no, come on, man, like, but take the hammock.
Right, take the hammock. But there's something too that the intentionality of putting yourself in a position of need and putting yourself in a position of discomfort, not out of self-flagellation, right? It's not you're not punishing yourself.
Absolutely,
right.
Not.
But what I hear you saying is, you're saying, I'm making a statement. I am carving out a space in my life, that I want you to fill.
That's great. Yeah.
Right.
I love that.
Whether it's sugar or TV or food or whatever it is, but I'm saying, and so it's part of it is saying, here I am. I want to be closer to you. I want to hear from you. Maybe I need your direction. Maybe I need your comfort.
Yes.
Maybe I need just to see you as provider so that we can be closer when the food or whatever it is comes back into our life, right?
Yes. And so as you say that, I'm thinking about, so our past experiences with fasting have always been, or have historically been, intimacy or just, God, what's next? So we're seeking the Lord. What's the next step?
Yeah.
This recent fasting, we're both.
Right. Yeah, this is the interesting one. Kind of set that up because you guys went hardcore on this thing.
Yeah, man. So
this is like 2 weeks ago, right?
Yeah. Well, it's probably been a month.
That's
now.
why I wanted you in here.
Yeah, it's still pretty.
I want to get the lowdown on
fresh
this one.
in the flesh. Yeah. Man. So we're coming into a season. So with New City, I'm getting the opportunity to lead out in our micro church network,
right?
Which is like it's so exciting for me.
Pretty amazing, yeah.
Man, it's so cool. Like I just the things that what I've been reminded of recently is just like what started here, just the connection that I made to you and the people that I still hold dear to my heart. From Westside, like that happened in conjunction with the building and outside of the building at the same time, man. Right. It's just really beautiful, and so I long to curate that, and so as we're doing that, we've been chosen to lead that out at New City, and we're launching that in 2022, and so that's super exciting, and we didn't want to go into that just without preparation. We believe that every movement, every step begins, it's built on the shoulders of prayer and fasting.
Yeah.
And so we just knew that it was something. Not just an intentional act, but I mean, like, God, this is like, we are completely powerless unless you do something here, completely. And so, and I think that's what fasting, like, it brings that out in us. It's like, it teaches us reliance. So yeah, it's not just like it's not about like, I'm going to punish myself into this, like this, hardened form of holiness. It's
right.
Like, I'm going to teach myself childlike reliance on the one who gives things.
Yeah.
Yochanan, he is the giver of good gifts, right? Like, and so, like, leading into the season, man, we wanted to have our spiritual head screwed on straight, and so, we planned on 40 days of liquid.
And any kind of liquid, like juices primarily.
We did smoothies, we drink smoothies for a good period of time.
But no sandwiches,
no sandwiches, yeah.
No pudding,
which is my love language, a sandwich, But yeah. So no love during is it like So initially, and it kind of evolved as we went, and so it started off as no solid food, just juices and smoothies kind of thing. We have an aunt who comes over and hangs with our youngest on Mondays. And she knew we were fasting, and she was like, "Well, I made some potato soup and I threw it in the blender." So we we were just like, "Oh man, I wanted to bathe
all the carbs."
Yeah, right. But we hit a point in that when it was like, okay, like we're kind of half in, half out is what it felt like, and like you said, we want to go 100%, And this isn't for everybody, by the way. I don't want to say like this is the expectation of what it looks like, but
sure. But this is just your story.
Yes.
Yeah, that's all.
Yes. And so we hit a point when it's like, okay, we're still kind of in a comfort zone here. Like we can still get by and feel like we're working to get around our discomfort.
Right.
You know? and so it's like, okay, we're gonna do a week of water, which we've done that previously and we know how that went, you know?
Right.
And it was a similar result, you know.
It's rough.
It's still like we had to pull over on the side of the road and change the tire, man. Like we didn't carry it out to completion.
How long did it go?
So we went. I think it was 5 days.
Mm-hmm.
Like I think we went 4 days. 4 days.
And then you broke it with I think Melissa said there was like a vegetable evening meal or something like that.
It was fantastic. Yeah. We were. Yeah. It was awesome. I was actually. It was a Thursday night, and I'm out at Edgerton, you know, getting sanctuary ready and getting slides and stuff prepared for service. And I come home and she is like she had just blown through some broccoli, man. It was awesome. So yeah, I dove in too.
But, a lot of people out there might say you have to be desperate to look at broccoli with that kind of affection.
Absolutely. It's got hair. You know?
Yeah, that's pretty great, man.
But yeah.
So what would you say then? You decide, okay, this is time. We're going to go ahead and break this. Before we break something, you know, important, right?
Yeah, right.
And what would you say, and you know, just be as honest, you know, as you would, of course, be, but what would you say the net spiritual sort of life result was that? Because you were doing that, as you're saying, we're making ourselves available, God. We want you to know we're serious as we head into this new season of ministry, right? And for anybody, that could be a ministry, it could be a new job, could be a new... We're pregnant, we're going to have a new child, whatever it is.
Yeah, relationships.
You know, but something that you're saying, okay, God, we want to seek you in this thing. What would you say the net experience was for you?
So, I mean, like, honestly, it's kind of like, okay, what now? You know, like I wouldn't say there was a solid yes or no on anything. It was from my end of things, I was praying specifically for, like, you know, divine strategy. You know, I need to level this thing up. Is kind of what my approach was. This guy isn't getting me there. You know, and
he's pointing to his head for all of our audio listeners. He's leveling this thing up.
That's right, this thing. Yeah. Hopefully you could hear my finger thumping on my head. Yeah. And that didn't happen.
Right.
You know, but what I'm learning. I'm learning that in hindsight, as I look back just over the couple weeks since, like I'm moving differently, and I'm moving. There's a confidence behind what I'm doing because I trust. You know, it's like, and it's not a exchange of goods and services. You know, it's not about that. It's like with your kids, when they approach you and they say, "Dad, like I want A, B, or C," but and they're not, and it's not a selfish approach. They're coming to you in love. That inclines you to assist them, or, you know, I don't know if I'm saying that correctly.
Yeah, no, it makes sense. It's the relational. Is like you're telling your dad, we're serious about this. We really need you. We want your help in this thing. We want your direction and your wisdom.
You need to feed me.
And we're removing this big thing from our lives and relying on you. So here we are.
Yeah, man, 100%.
Wow. And so you feel like you just kind of came out of that now, on the hindsight, with just a stronger sense of like solidity in the decision. Is that
100%.
Fair?
Yes. Like, so, I mean, it was catalyzing. It was, I mean, I feel, you know, I'm shored up.
Like you're good to go.
Oh, man.
Yeah. Oh, gosh, that's great. Because not everybody has some sort of like epiphany. You know, you don't see Jesus 300 feet at the foot of your bed saying, "Nice fast. That was great." You know, well done.
Right. Yeah. Some people might
have a pizza.
I hope so. Yeah. He's
the pizza man knocks on the door. The timing was perfect. I mean, some people have fairly, you know, intense experiences, but I would say for most people, it was kind of like what you guys had is. You feel a growing dependency and intimacy with the Lord. You have a growing dependency and intimacy with one another because you're doing this thing together. And you come out on the other side with a greater confidence that God is indeed involved and engaged with you in it.
Well, it reminds me of, what is that? Is that, I might be screwing the passage, Mark 13 or 14, when Jesus goes to the wilderness. It's 40 days, he doesn't eat anything.
Right.
But if you pay attention to what it says when he comes out of there, it says he came out of the wilderness in power.
And that's his public ministry gets going, right?
Right there.
Yeah.
Like, and so I think like he is the forerunner. He goes before us in all things, right? So we can trust, and we aren't Jesus, but we can trust that when we are following him into a season of wilderness, even if it's by election, to draw closer, we can trust that we're going to come out in power.
Yeah.
And it may not look like what our expectations of that power are. That's okay. Like I said, it's the beautiful aspect of that is like, man, it removes the opportunity for pride. And so like if we broke fast and then all of a sudden there's like, fire falling from heaven, it would be like, okay, I'm going to do a fast and that's how it's going to go every time. It's like, like it becomes like I do something and it causes God to do something else.
Right. It's almost just, like a negotiation.
Absolutely.
Yeah, and that's not what you want.
Man, it's partnership. He wants his children to partner with him with what he's doing.
Yeah.
And so like for us to find out what he's doing, sometimes we've got to get closer, and that means setting aside the things that we rely on instead of him,
Oh, that's good, Pete, man. So, well, I really appreciate you sharing this with us. It's a really big deal, and I love your wisdom and your insight. And I think a lot of folks out there are going to really resonate with what Pete is sharing here today, because this isn't some, uber mature, uber spiritual, like it's only available to the Franciscan monks out there. I mean, it's
which would be cool.
That's kind of cool, yeah. But I mean, all of us can come before God and just say, hey, look, I'm setting something aside here for this season because I just want to get closer to you. Yeah, man. And I want you to be involved. I want you to be ruler. Right?
That's good, dude. Yes.
I want you to be king in this thing that I'm bringing before you. And we try to pray with an intention, right? Your intention was seeking God for this new ministry season. You out there, you're going to have some sort of intention, whether it's you're praying for a child who is going astray. Maybe he's praying for an illness of your parent or a loved one. Maybe you're just seeking God's direction for a career or relationship, whatever that is. Yeah. But your Heavenly Father, He wants to be involved. And Amen. He seeks closeness and relationship with you. And one of those ways, for our sake, that we get a little desperate, right? Which desperation's a pretty good thing.
Yeah, I'd agree with that.
Is by the removal of this thing that, like you said, that we depend on. Yeah. To put us in a position of need, to say that I need you to be my provider and I need you to be the sovereign one in this situation.
So good.
Man. So Pete, my brother.
Hey, man.
Always great to get to hang with you. Love you and your bride and your little girls. And thank you for sharing with Westside, your bit of your experience. I bet we're going to hear a whole lot more stories that come out of our community over the next few months about how God is just in those still quiet, profound ways, moving in your hearts and in your story as you seek Him. In the meantime, God bless you guys. We love you, and we would love to hear from you. We'll see you next time. We hope the conversation has challenged you and perhaps sparked some new ideas. If you'd like some additional notes and helpful links, visit the episode page at westsidefamily.church/podcast. And if you have questions, we'd love to hear them. Our last episode of the season, we'll devote an entire show to your questions. So you can also tell us what topics you'd like to hear and discussed in the future. Thank you for joining us today, and God bless you.